Program was started here under Chief Swagger. He's done a fantastic job with it. It's an unbelievable story for these children. They were living in the nightmare, and it just kept getting worse. I know the words justice in the system are two words that should never go in a sentence together. Another agency threatened to arrest me because we did not take the children to their agency and report it. We lived here in Guthrie. We did what we thought was the right thing to do. So we notified Officer Johns, and Miss Trish spoke with the children. The children were small, they had been raped, and this goes back to 2011. When we got custody and we filed a protective order, Officer Johns was able to track down the abuser and find us an address to have a PO served. Something I learned was that a protective order would not be looked at by a judge unless we had an address. Johns helped us find the address for that PO, and the judge granted us one for the abuser who fled and left and went out of state and actually into Mexico and then back to California. In the meantime, we were trying to sort the justice for these children, but another agency had done the initial investigation and done a very poor job of it. I tried talking to the prosecutor, but they wouldn't even return my calls. With nothing to lose, Officer Johns advocated for the children, and 10 months later, the DA files 9 felony counts of rape and lewd acts with a minor. This was a huge turning point. Being an officer and being able to make some phone calls, and soon other agencies were helping us track him down and serve him with a protective order, as well as arrest him for the warrants. The U.S. Marshals ends up assisting to help track him across the country. Officer Johns learned that he had fled to Mexico, and being an officer, he was able to get Homeland Security on board as well. I get a phone call in the middle of the night with Officer Johns telling me we had him. Hooray. The FBI had arrested him in Arizona, and he would go before the judge the next night. They have night court over there. Officer Johns learned that the judge he would be going in front of had a habit of releasing out-of-state people with warrants, regardless if they were a felony warrant. So once again, he made some calls, persuaded the U.S. Marshals to go sit in the courtroom some ungodly hour waiting for the arraignment. The judge went to release him on a PR bond, but the agent was able to speak up, and he was kept in jail and later transferred to Oklahoma a couple of weeks later. This again was something that neither myself nor Trish would have been able to do. You would think we would be good right then, but no, we weren't. So they get him transported back to Oklahoma County. It had been a few weeks. I hadn't heard anything. Officer Johns tells me he can see the warrants hadn't been served yet, meaning that he hadn't been arrested, which we knew he was sitting in jail. Officer Johns was able to make the call to the warrants division and get it sorted out once again. A year and a half later, he was sentenced to prison, where I hope he dies. The only reason why the monster of the pedophile is off the streets of Guthrie is because of Officer Johns. For those council members sitting here tonight who have children, mothers, fathers, and friends, I pray you never need his help. I have learned they will no longer exist, his position will no longer exist in the coming days. It's been 7 long years. The children are now adults. They have their own lives. They have a full new respect for the police departments and the sheriff's departments for what this man has done for these kids. During one of our recent conversations, Johns did tell me that they have lost funding from their grant for this program. I would ask that the council dig deep and see if we can figure out a way to keep this position as an advocate. I understand there's only so much money to go around. I'm not sure how it all works, but regardless of what happens, you still need to finding him the biggest thank you for the lives that he has literally saved and quietly over the past 9 years. My story is just one of 100. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Appreciate that recognition of Officer Johns, and thank you for your support of those 2 children. Third item on our agenda is consent agenda items A through D. A is the approval of the city council minutes of September 3rd. B is the approval of the cooperative agreement between the Guthrie Edmond Regional Airport and the Department of Agriculture for wildlife control on the airport property. C is the approval of the renewal of the lease of a 2019 Ford Mustang from Integrity Foundation for $1 a year. And D is the approval of pay number 3 from the amount of $104,728 to True North Contracting for Owens Field softball facility upgrade. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Is that the car that, the officers,
That,
his?
Chief might want to answer that, but that's the special car.
Is that-
The Ford Mustang
Yeah,
is the
okay.
one, the resource officers use that, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Sergeant Gibbs has that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I
didn't
thought
hear
it
the
was.
question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
yes.
the one the foundation donated us last year,
Right.
and we're gonna keep it for at least 5 years, I think, and we're paying like a buck a year.
And
Have you seen it?
It's a great magnet
I've seen it
for,
just go down the road.
for the kids to come and see more about,
Pretty cool.
resource officers.
Kids will be drawn to it.
Okay, we have a motion. Any other questions? Have a motion and a second. Submit your votes. See the votes. Unanimous approval to approve consent agenda items A, B, C, and D. Item number 4 is the items removed from consent agenda, of which there were none. Item number 5, ordinance number 3416, changing the city of Guthrie ward boundaries. Eddie?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this item is subsequent to the approval that was given on August 14th, which followed the decisions that were made at the city council retreat. So this is the formality, this is the last step in that process. At this time, staff would recommend approval. There are no changes from what we've discussed previously. If you have any questions, be happy to answer.
Any questions of Eddie? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion. Did I hear a second down there?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any last other discussion items? Okay, submit your votes. See the votes. Unanimous approval then to approve ordinance number 3416, changing the city of Guthrie ward boundaries. Item number 7 is the emergency clause for ordinance number 3416. Eddie?
Yes, sir, just the emergency clause that will eliminate the 30-day timeframe for approval. So
For implementation. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second? Have a motion and a second. Any other
You
discussion?
said 7 is 6.
I'm sorry.
is
Did
item
I say
6.
7? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
3416.
Oh, no, I mean, it's item number 6.
Oh, item
not-
number 6.
Yes.
I-
Want to make sure
Okay,
it's
item
in
number
there.
6, which is the emergency clause. We have a motion and a second. Submit your votes. Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval then for item number 6, approval of emergency clause implementing ordinance number 3416. Item number 7, finally. The final subdivision plat for 63 resident lots within the Mission Hills PUD. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. As indicated, this is a final plat approval for Mission Hills Section 3, which is the addition to Mission Hills on the western side of the Mission Hills Section 1. The preliminary plat was approved back in 2021. Back in February of 2023, Phase 1 final plat was approved. They've been under construction, and if you remember earlier this year on April 2nd, the improvements for Phase 1 were all accepted by the city. This would be, as indicated, for 63 lots on approximately 13.5 acres for Phase 2. The Planning Commission had recommended approval for O with the standard conditions that they put up a bond for the improvements. They have to have a maintenance bond. The mayor's not to sign until all that's put in place. And finally, no C of Os will be issued for Phase 2 until all the improvements have been accepted. So with that, I'll give back to the council.
Is that on the north side of what they're building?
Yes, it is directly north off of Davis Road. Yes, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Dan?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to abstain from this vote. I was on the planning commission when we passed it earlier this year, so I will defer to the council
Okay.
on this one.
All right.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes, please.
Was there a second?
I'll second
Yes, there was.
Okay. All votes right?
And we have unanimous approval for all those eligible to vote on this one, to move forward with the final subdivision plat as identified. Item number 8, resolution number 2024-22, accepting a grant for the airport. Caden?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. At this time, staff is recommending approval and acceptance of an airport improvement program grant, providing federal funding for up to 90% of the overall project costs related to the design and construction of 3,750 feet of parallel taxiway and lighting project included. Acceptance of this grant will allow staff to move forward with grant agreement submittals based on construction bids for the project, which we'll talk about in the next agenda item. The total project cost is approximately $5.7 million. We will be receiving $5,133,619 for this project from the FAA. Earlier this week, the Oklahoma Department of Aerospace and Aeronautics approved a state grant 5% match in the amount of roughly $285,000. That leaves the sponsor share to be $285,000, which will then be split between both cities, leaving the city of Guthrie with roughly $143,000 remaining for this project. So through FAA grants that staff is asking council to approve today, we'll be receiving $5.7 million in airport improvements for an overall cost to the city of $143,000.
So moved.
Second. Okay,
Motion
great.
and a second. Any other discussion?
Kaden, do you have any idea when we will be receiving the funding from the FAA for that?
So we've already completed the design of the taxiway. Schematic designs have been shared with council up to this point. We have a construction, safety, and phasing plan in place now, and so we will pay as we're invoiced by the contractors, and by Park Hill, we'll pay and get reimbursed by the FAA on that as the project continues along.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I would say for a $143,000 investment of getting $5.7 million,
That's pretty darn
I
good.
think that's pretty darn good.
Pretty good
return
deal.
on investment.
Yes, sir.
And congratulate you and Eddie and all the other staff that worked on this to make it happen. Really, really good. Any other comments, questions? Submit your votes.
All votes right?
See the votes. Almost unanimous.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
I'm the one that made the motion.
I will take that as a unanimous vote to approve resolution number 2024-22, acceptance of $5.7 million for airport improvements. Item, yes. That is pretty awesome. Item number 9, award bid 2024-14, 11, with alternates for construction of parallel taxiway. Caden?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a public notice was published in the Guthrie News Leader on August 21st and 28th to solicit bids for the taxiway construction lighting project. 17 contractors purchased the bid packet and were in attendance at the mandatory pre-bid meeting held on September 3rd. One sealed bid was received and read aloud on September 10th at 1:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Contech Incorporated of Broken Arrow is the only and apparent low bidder. Their bid is in order, and they have documented experience and satisfactory performance in this type of work bid. Park Hill is recommending that the contract be awarded to Contech for the amount of $4,662,437, subject to the receipt of FAA and ODAA grants, which includes bid alternate 1 and alternate 2. I did want to mention alternate 1 and 2 are the taxiway lighting portions of the project. Since the project is funded through discretionary dollars, we weren't certain that we would secure enough funding to get the entire taxiway lighting system repaired. So the alternate number 1 was the taxiway lights for the new 3,750 feet of taxiway put in. Those are the blue taxiway edge lights. And then the alternate number 2 was to continue those new lights up to the north end. And so we're going to have it in the budget to be able to replace all of the lights across the entire taxiway, which is absolutely terrific. Our primary engineer with Park Hill, Toby Baker, could not be here tonight, but he did let me know that Contech has worked closely and successfully with Park Hill on nearly 20 similar paving projects across the state of Oklahoma since 2009. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions of Katie?
Your Honor, as Chair of the Airport Board, it is my pleasure to ask and move approval of awarding bid number 2024-11 with alternatives number 1 and 2, reconstruction of the parallel taxiway and install taxiway lights in the amount of $4,662,437 to allow the mayor to execute the contract.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes, please.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Oh.
Adam, did you?
Oh, my gosh.
Come on, Adam.
I know I did, yes.
We have an almost unanimous, well, I will take that as unanimous approval.
Now we have
to-
8 votes.
To award bid number 2024-11 with alternates 1 and 2 to
Way to go,
Crosstech
Brian.
Brian, did you hit yes on yours?
For,
I swear I hit yes on mine.
I did too.
I think it's
all right,
glitchy.
okay, we understand. You hit yes. I must,
You old guys.
I really need to say, you know, if there's a lot of things happening in our community. There are a lot of things happening in our community every day. But if you haven't been out to the airport and seen what's going on out there and what's on the planning stages for going out there, it is just awesome. It is just awesome, you know? Runways, terminals, more planes, 130-some airplanes based out there. And it is just an incredible asset for our community and Edmond. Again, hats off, Caden, to you and all of your staff out there. Eddie, Vice Mayor Gary, Councilman Williams, those last 2 are on the board here, which has done great strides and great leadership in making things happen. But it is a bustin' place out there. So congratulations, well done, keep it going. Item number 10, memorandum of understanding with Helping Communities Paws and Claws and City of Guthrie. Don? Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. We go back with Miss New and her organization a long time, and we butted heads occasionally, and the council's directed us to try to work to come to an amicable solution, and I think the city manager and I and Miss New have come to that conclusion. That's what we present to you tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions by the council?
Chief Swagger, could I ask you to expand on what this MOU is actually going to authorize between
What is
the
that?
2 organizations?
So, Helping Community Paws and Claws brings a lot that could benefit the city in the fact that they have open spay and neuter clinics. They do social media way better than we do. And we'll fill some of her spots. She will.
Yeah, so everything from volunteers out at the shelter to expanding our networking capabilities with the animals that we have. That is something an area where we're lacking currently. So making sure that we're getting them out onto all of the different networking pages and really trying to move the animals so we're not staying at capacity all the time. So all this MOU does at this time is allows HCPC volunteers in the shelter. We've modified that volunteer application minimally. I believe the requirement, we went from 2 hours, was it a month or a week? 2 hours a week to 1 hour a week volunteer requirements. They are still under city staff supervision, so there's no volunteers in the shelter that aren't being supervised by city staff. And then also finding different partnership opportunities where we can utilize some of the resources that HCPC has when they don't necessarily have a need for all the services that are available. And I will say, that's not very often, but it is something that we've discussed, so.
And probably one thing I'd throw out there, and city manager will probably kill me for saying this, we are not and will never be probably a no-kill shelter. It's just not how municipalities work. We stay full, we do the best we can to put them out there, and it's organizations like Miss News that can help us get these animals placed. The fewer we put down, the happier I am. I know the happier she is, the happier everybody should be. I mean, nobody's here to be down on animals. And this has the potential to be a great partnership between us and her organization to make sure these animals get placed instead of other alternative things that we don't like to talk about.
So I make a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a comment before we move forward, please. Right before I came on council, I went to the animal shelter and took a tour. It's a very small working area. I just want to say how much I recognize and appreciate the Animal Control Division. I don't know what they go through daily, but I can imagine it's a chore, and I appreciate somebody willing to step up and help them, volunteer there. So I just really want to take the moment to say I recognize and appreciate the job they do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say, I think this memorandum certainly sets a foundation for, I think, a great partnership that as both partners focused on a very similar outcome, a challenge, nationwide challenge of how do we deal, best deal with animals that are unhoused, unhomed, if you will, and how do we do that in the best way? And there's I don't think anybody, we've had many discussions in this chamber and many more outside this chamber about how to best deal with this. I think this is a significant step forward in us as a community dealing with a very challenging problem. And there's never going to be a perfect solution, but boy, this, I think, sure sets us in a good direction for making some headway.
I think so.
So I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
Alderman Strain?
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to move forward with that memorandum of understanding between Helping Community Falls and Claus and the city of Guthrie. Congratulations. Appreciate you. Yeah. Item number 11, Police Department donation. Chief?
I believe it was last year that we got a grant from Firehouse Subs to purchase a personal watercraft for the lakes. And Jill Oaks went out and raised some money to help us, or to give to the city to help us put some lights and decals and stuff on it. So she has $3,500 that she would like you to accept on our behalf to perform that function.
Okay. Questions of Chief? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any last minute thoughts? Submit your votes.
Alderman Strain?
See the votes. Unanimous approval then
Thank
to
you all
accept
very
the
much.
donation of $3,500 for the personal watercraft. Item number 12, Finance Committee appointment. This is an appointment to the Finance Committee, which is a committee of the council of Councilman Aguirre, Guthrie, and Mills to the Finance Committee with a term expiring May 5th, 2025. Any questions?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Submit your votes.
Alderman Strain?
See the votes.
I intended to vote no. I don't want any more work.
I'm reading that as a vote of 6 to 1.
What? You're not confident?
Approval of the Finance Committee appointment of Councilman Aguirre, Bothroyd, and Mills to the Finance Committee. Item number 13, Street Committee appointments. This is the appointment of Councilman Roth, Taylor, and Williams to the Street Committee.
I move approval of the nominees for to give them more work.
I'll second that.
They love more work. They have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
Alderman.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to place Councilman Ropp, Taylor, and Williams on the street committee.
Mayor,
City-
just a second. Grant, we have a food truck come out when we're out there having our meetings.
Oh, well, if I'd known there was a food truck, that might have swayed the vote.
Reconsider that next time. Item number 14, city manager report.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I'll be brief this evening, given the longevity of the previous two city manager reports. If you're not following our City of Guthrie Facebook pages, social media pages, as well as Experience Guthrie, which is on all of the social media platforms to keep up with the events and things going on around town, please take the time to do so. There is a lot going on this weekend. The Guthrie Road celebration was in town, and you could certainly feel it. The weekend prior, we had the fly-in out at the airport, as well as the second annual Clay Tartar cross-country meet down in the Flats, where we had just over 1,000 folks in the Flats for the two-day event. So there's a whole lot going on. Please do follow those pages and stay in the know. The only other thing I want to share tonight is, in addition to the accolades Chief Swagger has received, he has also just recently in the last week achieved 10 years as Chief of Police. So congratulations, Chief.
Congratulations, Chief. Item number 15, comments by members of City Council. Vice Mayor Guthrie.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to thank both of the chiefs for their support of the airport. I asked at the last minute, I made a last minute request to have, as you know, the Touch the Truck event was canceled. And I know that was, for Councilman Robb, kind of a big deal because his kids wanted to touch the truck. And I said, could you send fire trucks and police vehicles out to the airport to do that? And they did. They just did an amazing job. I think for a lot of our young people, the ability to get in that fire truck or that police vehicle, the urban assault vehicle that the police department has, was as big a deal as the airplanes. I don't get that because I just love airplanes, but for those kids, it was absolutely as big a deal as getting to touch the airplanes. And so I am enormously grateful for their support on that and coming out and making that part of our fly-in day, because I think it's an enormous opportunity. It also highlights the ability of our departments to really pull together and work together. That there's a recognition in Guthrie that it's not a zero-sum game. And so I really, really appreciate that. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Councilman Robb.
Yeah, congratulations, Chief, again on another medal. You got to be getting tired of it by now. I said it, I think a couple months ago or a month ago, I said he gets one of these like every other meeting. Congrats again. Sure, we'll do it again in 2 weeks. No, that's great, man. Good for you. And the fly-in, yes, I'm blown away when I go to the fly-ins. I went there with my kids, and I couldn't believe how many people were there. It was like an event you would see down in Oklahoma City. It was so jam-packed, especially like around 11. I was really impressed. My kids loved it, and we had a great time. Thank you for the entire city and staff and all the departments for putting that on, too. I think it's really beneficial for a lot of different reasons, not just for the airport, for our city in general. The volunteer thing that we just passed, I think that has the potential to be a game changer for us in the city, getting that help and the passionate dedication from this group. And so I just wanted to say that now. I didn't say it then. And I thank everybody here for being in support of that. I really appreciate that. And that's all I have.
Councilwoman Mills.
Congratulations again, Chief. Thank you for all your hard work on behalf of this community. We appreciate it. Also, just wanted to say the asphalt overlays on Pine in Oklahoma look awesome. Those are really nice. So, especially people in Ward 1 are happy about those. So, thank you guys.
Councilman Williams.
Yes, thank you. Good job, staff. Proud of everybody doing the work. Had to steal his words. Thank you. And, yeah, everything's working well. It's very pleasurable being here and seeing it work, all of it.
Councilman Guthrie.
Yeah, I mean, I ditto it all. Super proud of you, Chief. Always have been. You do a great job, and you never let us down. And it goes for Eddie, too. You've been doing a great job, Eddie. Just letting you know, things like these don't go unnoticed. But the fly-in, if you've been there over the years, I didn't get to go last year, but I was there prior. It's grown by leaps and bounds. I mean, it really truly has, and it's a great event. So that's it for me.
Councilman Taylor.
What do I say? What to say? All right, thank you, staff. Appreciate everybody. I mean everybody. Y'all did a great job tonight. I love watching how the airport has gone from when I was a little kid growing up, not very much, to all of a sudden just exploding off the map. Everybody wants to be there. So, the chief, you've done a great job too. I've been here since you've been here, so I have to get in there and give you a hard time every now and then. And thank you, Eddie. It's great to have your leadership, and you guys all work together. Team Guthrie, and Red Brick Nights was great.
It is truly a team. Thank you.
Red Brick Nights was great. The airport deal was great. I went out. I think all the council members were there. And it was fabulous. So you guys on the airport board and the airport man, I mean, you guys did great. So thank you all very much.
I want a parachute. I have a parachute. I can strap you into a parachute.
We've got activities coming up. We've got Lift Fest coming up. We've got Guthrie Haunts coming up. It just seems like there's a never-ending list of events happening in Guthrie, America. And that takes a lot of people. That takes a champion to drive home that open house at the airport. It takes a whole team to get behind it and make it happen. And it takes a community to be out there and support it. And I think we're just blessed, as the pastor has identified. All of those elements are here. All those elements are here. And it doesn't happen every place. So thanks to everybody involved. And speaking of being involved, we do have a few opportunities to be more involved. We have Board of Assessment.
Adjustment.
Adjustment, I'm sorry, adjustment, Board of Adjustment, the BOA. We've got Planning Commission, we've got Library, and I think we've got one or two left on Park and Urban Development, too. So we have opportunities for citizens to be more engaged in a really, really vibrant place. So go on the website, see what's involved, look up the form to fill out, and get your name on the list. Be a part of it. Be a part of it, an active part of it. All right, we have item number 16 is proposal to move to executive session for purposes of discussing purchase and appraisal of real estate, for discussion of negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police, and discussion of negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters.
Your Honor, I move that we go into executive session pursuant to Title 25 Oklahoma Statute, Section 307, for the discussion of certain real property, the discussion concerning employees of representatives of the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 105, and for the discussion of negotiations concerning employees and representatives of the International Association of Firefighters, IAFF Local 2145.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
Albert Stern.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to move to executive session. See you, ladies and gentlemen, in a little bit.
meeting, remember? Nothing on it.
That's very short meeting. Very short.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then to move out of executive session and general counsel.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Submit your votes.
All votes right.
See the votes unanimous approval, then move out of executive session back into our general session. Item number 18, purchase of certain real estate property.
Your Honor, I move that we approve the purchase of certain real property not to exceed $200,000, subject to the due diligence and the appraisal process, and allow the mayor to execute the documents on our behalf.
So moved, or second?
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes right.
See the votes.
Okay, no, seriously, yes, you
Yeah,
got an issue going
I
here.
take it as a yes. Unanimous approval.
Oh, yeah.
Move forward
I looked at it.
with the purchase of
Maybe
real
we should all
property not to exceed
Both of them at the
$200,000,
Yes,
and moving forward with that property as discussed in executive session. Item number 19, the bargaining unit agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police.
Your Honor, I move approval of the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 105 fiscal year 2024-2025 collective bargaining agreement as negotiated by staff and presented to council, and allow the mayor to execute on behalf of the city council.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes right.
See the votes. Unanimous approval to move forward with the approval and the execution of the collective bargaining agreement with Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 105, as discussed in executive session. Item number 20, International Association of Firefighters negotiation.
Your Honor, I move approval of the International Association of Firefighters, IAFF Local 2145 fiscal year 2024-2025 collective bargaining agreement as negotiated by staff, and allow the mayor to execute on behalf of the city.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes, please.
All votes right.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to move forward with the execution of collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, local number 2145, as discussed and negotiated with staff, discussed with the during executive session. That being the last item on our agenda, ladies and gentlemen, we're adjourned and ready to move into
The next meeting.
I call to order our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting of September 17th, 2024. Consent agenda items A and B. A is the approval of Public Works Authority minutes of September 3rd, 2024. And B is the approval of pay application 39 in the amount of $29,737.50 for work on the wastewater treatment plant. I'll entertain a motion.
So
Mr.
moved.
Chairman, I move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes right.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval of consent agenda items A and B. Item number 3 is items removed from consent agenda, of which there were none. That being the last item on our agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. Have a good evening.